Last semester, I nearly failed biochem. It wasn't because I was not smart enough. It was because I put more time into organizing my study schedule on Notion than actually studying itself. The tools that I was trying to use to focus were the same tools that were distracting me. I realized I needed an air gap between my brain and the internet. The Sleathern Journal was the air gap. It is my external brain, my medication log, and my sanity keeper. Today, I'll show you exactly how I lay out these pages to survive premed at Berkeley without burning out. Hi, my name is Alanud and welcome back to my channel. The idea behind this is simple, but for an ADHD brain, it almost feels illegal. We live in an economy that mines our attention for profit. As a student with high expectations and a family that expects a medical degree, the pressure creates paralysis. You doom scroll, not because you're lazy, but because you're overwhelmed. You're looking for an escape hatch. For years, I tried every productivity app, but eventually I noticed a pattern. The glass screen almost felt the same whether you're reading a complex medical journal or watching a TikTok. It's slippery and fast and impermanent. But this has weight. When you write a task down here, it doesn't notify you. It doesn't offer you a reward for looking at it. It just sits there, staring at you. It is realistic, frictional, analog system that bypasses executive dysfunction, at least for me. We're going to treat this journal not as a diary, but as a prescription for focus. The first step to conquering my mindless doom scrolling addiction was to pay attention to the cues. Your phone is not a tool, it's a slot machine, genuinely. Every time you unlock it to check a due date for biology, you're fighting a losing battle against algorithms that are designed by thousands of engineers, and there are a lot of engineers, specifically to steal your attention. I realized that my digital brain was actually just a dopamine dispenser. I needed more friction. For a neurodivergent brain, physical permanence is grounding. I call this the air gap. Just like high security hospital computers are disconnected from the internet to protect your data and patients' data, your productivity system needs to be disconnected from the internet to prevent brain rot. By moving my to-do list and habit tracker to a physical paper, I created a safe room for my mind. It's one of the only things that stopped me from actually mindlessly, infinitely scrolling when I should be memorizing amino acids instead. Now, let's go on to the prescription. I'll show you how I set this up. This is just a dummy. It's not actually my journal because I do write a lot of personal stuff there too, so I'm sorry. I will not be giving you guys that information. And I'll also show you the specifics of the layout so you can replicate it. So here we are. Sorry for the mirror effect, but I can't do anything about it. On the left side page, we create an input tracker. I don't call them habits, I call them inputs because these are chemical inputs that are required to run the machine, which is your body. I divide this into 6 sections and I have the days up here. So let me explain more. There's 3 main categories. We have biology, chemistry, and recovery. Under biology, I track physical baseline. So sleep, water, food, whatever I need to survive in my body. In my real journal, I do separate it to 2, which is sleep more than 7 hours and drink 3 liters of water. Under chemistry, which represents the work, the deep work, I track when I actually am working, and I simply put a check mark if I did 2 or more hours of focused work without my phone. Under recovery, I track no doom scrolling because this is my goal currently for just resting, is not to doom scroll. And I simply just fill in the boxes for the week. The reason why I'm tracking these simple inputs is just because I need data. Not to judge myself, it's just for data. But also I added 2 more sections which are very important for ADHDers. And you can see them down here. We have energy and mood, which I rank them both from 1 to 10. Why? Because, for example, on Tuesdays, if I see I had 30% energy and I didn't really study, didn't do the chemistry section, I don't beat up myself because I already knew I woke up in a very, very bad energy and mood. I can look back and see, oh, I didn't sleep on Monday. So it makes sense that Thursday was a wash. This removes the guilt. It makes it more of a scientific observation, as if you're going out and looking at plants in nature, rather than just a moral failure on your part. I thoroughly recommend, I really do recommend you adding this energy and mood column because it changes how you actually speak to yourself. Then we have the right part of the right page. So this is where I track my daily chaos. Having ADHD means it's chaotic. Trust me, it is chaotic. I do not predate these pages. Like, I do have 7 pages. Like, it would be, this is my first page of the day. And I always write up here, that is always incup, which is the method I've talked here. I do not predate this. I just turn to the next one and like to the next blank page. At the top, I usually write the day and one intention I have for that day. And I also put something to remind me to always incup. So now you have the tracker. But how do you actually force your brain to do the work when your brain feels like it's full of bees and it's just buzzing all the time? This is where I apply incup method. ADHD brains, as I've mentioned before, do not run on importance. Telling me that this exam is important for med school just gives me anxiety and stresses me out. We run on interest, novelty, challenge, urgency, and passion, the incup method. I use this notebook to manufacture this feeling. That's why I always have it on the top of my page to remind me to always write my task or anything I want to do in incup. For example, rather than writing study chemistry, I write speedrun 20 practice questions. This creates the sense of challenge and urgency. It's challenging because I'm challenging myself to do 20 problems, and it's urgent. I'm doing it on a time crunch. I'm speedrunning it. I turn it into a race against the clock. If I'm bored, I create novelty by changing the pen color or the location. I write, for example, completely Anki deck in a coffee shop or in a new coffee shop to just make it more novelty based. I really swear by this. Manipulate your environment and your task definitions. Trick your brain into thinking the work is a game. You want to convince it that you're playing a video game. When I look at my notebook, I don't see chores. I see a series of high stakes mini games. That's the goal. And having a dedicated just physical book for these quests make it seem more official. Like, you know, when you do quests on game, you do collect these roll scrolls. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. And we want to imitate that by having it all into a physical manifestation, which is your journal. There is one specific rule I use when paralysis sets in. You know that feeling when you have the journal open, you have the plan, but you physically cannot really make yourself move. You're stuck in waiting mode. It usually happens when you have this hour gap. You don't know what to do between stuff that you have to do. And this is when I use the 7-minute protocol. The rule is I can quit anything after 7 minutes. If I need to read a dense research paper on something that is boring, like metabolic pathways, I hate metabolic pathways. So yeah, to me, that's boring. I tell myself I'll read for 7 minutes. If I hate it, I can stop. It's just 7 minutes of commitment. Here's the secret. You actually never stop. Almost never stops. Friction is at the start, not really in the continuation of the task. So by giving yourself permission to quit, you're lowering the barrier of entry. I actually track this in my journal too. I write in the empty blank page, did I do my 7 minutes? Usually that 7 minutes turn into 2 hours and I would have completed my chemistry goal. But on rare days, I'll be like, where I actually do stop, I still count it as a win. I showed up. Consistently is more important than intensity. I say this again and again in every video. Consistency is more important than intensity. So let's talk about the best time to actually do this. The best time of day to do this next journaling exercise is the last thing at night. In fact, it's the very last thing I do before I go to bed. So what is my final journaling exercise? They are 3 key tasks. When you have ADHD, your days can blur together. To stop from becoming a robot, I use a method called storyworthy, coined by Matthew Dix. The idea behind this is quite simple. At the bottom of my daily page, my chaotic and messy daily page, I write down the most story-worthy moment from the day. It doesn't have to be profound. For example, the barista spelled my name wrong again, but the coffee was perfect. Or I finally understood the Krebs cycle and I partied like shit. Yeah, you know what I mean. The idea is just to find these small little ideas, small moments or little humorous moments that happen to you each day and you write it down. This is really one of the best ways to document your life and really feel human. And immediately after that, I write my 3 key things for tomorrow or 3 key tasks, whatever you want to call it. The 3 key tasks is the very simple thing to do tomorrow. I don't really plan it out. I don't plan it out in like great detail. I just make a simple to-do list of 3 tasks. Basically that if I don't get anything done tomorrow, as long as I do these 3 things, I kind of feel like I'm on track. For example, usually those are my homework tasks. 3 things that I have to do for tomorrow. And I think for somebody who is an overthinker, using this journaling exercise has really helped me just to clarify my thoughts and really understand what is really important for me to do tomorrow. Over time, this slowly evolved to the point where I have a physical record of my efforts. When I feel like an imposter, which happens a lot in your med school journey, I can hold this book. It has weight, has history. I can see the ink of my consistency. I think when these exercises are done consistently on a daily basis, they can have a huge transformative effect. It's proof that I'm trying. And for us, sometimes proof is the only thing that keeps burnout away. As I always say, it's not always going to be perfect. You'll fail sometimes. You'll have days where you don't do anything. You have days where it's hard for you to write something in the journal. And it's okay. I fail all the time. It's a struggle. And we're always going to struggle. But when you persevere and you do not blame yourself, it can make all the difference in the world. It can really make a huge impact. You can always choose to learn again. Thank you so much for listening to me today. I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you did, you can watch my last video about how you can do it all. And thank you again. If you really like this video, like, subscribe, share, and turn on your notifications. And I hope you learned something today. Thank you so much and see you next time. Bye-bye.